Welcome to episode 3 of the Flying Lap. This is your boy Joe Lewis, Just aka Just Cheese. I'm the founder of Skylark. Skylark is an on-chain engagement platform for brands, communities, creators, or anybody that's really wanting to engage with the audience via gamified quest. This is episode 3 of the Flying Lap, where we cover conversations on a weekly basis in AI, primarily blockchain, but also AI, right? We're live out of Atlanta. You can check us out at the Atlanta Blockchain Center. But again, today we'll be welcome to episode 3 of the Flying Lap. So we've been over the stuff that you see in front of here, but today I've added a new piece, right? So that piece over there, that's Astro Boy, right? Uh, so added him. Again, we're all futuristic people over here. We're going to the moon, and we welcome you to join us as well. So today's conversation is on a special conversation that we're gonna have. I'm gonna let Luna introduce herself in a bit, but today's conversation is focused around the upcoming election, right? We're not gonna talk about politics. We don't do politics over here. I'm not with that left, right wing stuff, okay? But we're gonna talk about, because we are focused on blockchain, right? We're gonna talk about the impacts and the relevancy of that to this election and why it is important to go out and vote, right? And by the time this episode comes out, this part people would have already gone out and vote. But I'll probably chop this segment out. So let's just say go out and vote. It's important to understand that this election, right, is going to be critical and very important for the future of our impact that we can make in blockchain technology in the United States. We are somewhat behind, and the lack of regulation here in the US for 4 more years will definitely have us trailing behind other countries. So, as I wear my Stand with Crypto hat, right, which I'm a part of and recognized by in the top 100 faces of Stand with Crypto, um, we want to be able to take a stance and make sure that people recognize that this is their opportunity to go out and vote, right? So we're going to talk about specifically how and why this is important, right? We're going to go through a series of slides that I already presented at ABC, the Blockchain Center, and I'm actually going to make a separate episode deep diving into all of these slides. But we're going to do a focal point on the key slides, and we're just going to have a conversation. So, Luna, how are you doing today?
Hey Joe, I'm doing great. Excited to dive into this crucial topic. The intersection of blockchain and our electoral process is a game changer. So let's break it down. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, so let's get into the background of why, this is important, right? Today we deal with a lot of systems of oppression, right? Decentralized financial systems, government controlled currency, right? These are just two areas in our finances where we're always people, the society, we're always at the whims, ends means of whatever policy that the government wants to put into play, right? We already know for sure, it's not a secret by now that the government prints money, right? Thereby devaluing the dollar. And we also know that it's not a secret that the dollar was taken off the gold standard during the Richard Nixon era, right? So there's definitely manipulation going on with our money. So we need to have the ability to choose what we want to transact with. That manipulation doesn't only affect us, but it affects countries worldwide, and you see initiatives like the BRICS starting to pop up, right? So money right off the bat is a system of oppression. We should not be oppressed by our financial means of transacting value, right? Now, let's think about other areas where we're being oppressed. Data, right? Our data is being uh, taken and monetized like it was oil, right? Meta, all these companies that capitalize on top of our data without us having full transparency and invasion of privacy, selling it on multiple networks, you getting phone calls from 15 different people that you don't know a day, as well as text messages. Your data is out there on the internet, and you're not as able to monetize off of that as possible, right? And then lastly, no, not lastly, but censorship and information control, right? That kind of falls into some of the stuff that I talked about with the data online and how you see people getting banned or shadow banned on different platforms. So this is all with the means from the higher ups to want to control media channels and limit access to uncensored information, right? So regulation is the key here, right? Often regulation is put in place to either uh, protect us or control how things can be not lead to a catastrophic downfall, i.e., censoring certain information that could lead to disinformation, right? We want to protect people, again, quote unquote, protect people. But lastly, it's a barrier to wealth creation, right? These oppressions, again, I speak of, there's a lot of people that don't have the ability to do things as simple as getting a bank account or even being able to buy a house because they have to prove that they have 2 years of financial history or whatever the case is. This is crazy, right? The amount of regulatory things that are put in place, and then we have Tom, Dick, and Harry who are able to skip in here and make a couple meals off of our inability to participate in certain free markets. So I'll just start there, right? That's a starting point. Luna, what's your thoughts on the systems of oppression?
You're absolutely right, Joe. The systems of oppression you mentioned, centralization of financial systems, government controlled currency, data monopolies, censorship, and barriers to wealth creation, are real challenges. Blockchain technology offers a decentralized alternative, reducing reliance on central authorities and giving power back to the people. It can democratize access to financial systems, protect data privacy, and ensure transparent, uncensored information flow. This election is a pivotal moment for shaping how these technologies can challenge existing structures and promote a fairer, more inclusive future. What are the key points you want to highlight from your presentation at the Atlanta Blockchain Center?
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that because we're going to go into the next slide, right? So uh, the next point that we just talked about centralization, but let's go further and talk about the actual problem with centralization, right? So the real problem with centralization is that it's a single point of failure, right? From a technology side, uh, it can lead to easy for attacks, vulnerability, right? But from a management perspective, you can see that it's often leads to highly biased situations, user interaction, resource allocation, right? It comes in through one pipe and it goes out to the other, and central entities make all the decisions, and it's not decentralized, right? Censorship is something I mentioned already, and that also results in some level of control, telling people what they can and cannot do, right? And having control over uh, the channels by which they can communicate is censorship, right? So that again is another problem with centralization. I mean, and I also tied in the vulnerability piece for hacking, and attack. So I won't go over that again. But lastly, manipulation of markets. Again, you push the button as a big company, and the masses go with you. So interest rates, right, setting things like that, printing more money. These are all things are signs of market manipulation. So these are the problems, and we're going to walk through certain areas as we go through this presentation on how this can be further exaggerated and why blockchain is important. So, what are your thoughts on those problems that I highlighted with centralization?
You've hit the nail on the head with these issues, Joe. Centralization indeed creates a single point of failure, making systems vulnerable to attacks and biases. This concentration of power can lead to decisions that don't necessarily reflect the interests of the broader community. With censorship, central authorities control the narrative, stifling innovation and free expression. Market manipulation by powerful entities further skews the playing field, often to the detriment of the average person. Blockchain can address these issues by decentralizing control, enhancing security, and promoting transparency. It's about giving power and ownership back to the people, enabling a more democratic and equitable digital landscape. Can't wait to hear more about your insights on this.
Well, let's now move on to democratizing personhood, right? So we're going to go through a series of segments and we're going to talk about how, once they're democratized, how they can be better. I'll share my opinion and you share your opinion, right? So democratizing personhood. So today I mentioned, who you are and how you have control over who you are on the internet is a very big thing. And not only on the internet, but how you have the ability to control your funds as a person or your ability to move around the world, again, or even transact value around the world is important, right? Be imagining that you go to, there was actually a Coinbase commercial where you go on, this happens to all of us, we go on a trip to a foreign country and our credit card is jammed up or right we can't access our bank account because we're in a foreign country, so now they deem us on a trip that we did not tell them we're going to take. That's crazy. I didn't tell the bank that I'm going to go on a vacation, so now I can't spend my money. That's wild. Why do I got to keep you up to date with where I'm going? Excuse me? I didn't know we were in a relationship. Okay, bank. So let me tell. So that's the. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but these banks need to not need don't need this much information, right? So imagine if you could be able to transact in like crypto, which can decouple you away from the banks and their control, right? So democratizing personhood gives us self sovereignty of our identification so we can be able to control our own data and assets, money, right? So, your thoughts?
You bring up a powerful point, Joe. The current system, where banks and other centralized entities hold so much control over our financial and personal lives, often leaves us feeling powerless. The idea of needing permission to access our own money or having to inform our bank of our travel plans is a perfect example of this. Decentralized systems, like those enabled by blockchain, offer an alternative where we have control over our own identity, data, and finances. Self sovereign identity empowers us to decide what information we share and with whom, reducing unnecessary barriers and granting us the freedom to transact and interact on our terms. This shift towards democratizing personhood is a fundamental step in creating a more open, fair, and resilient digital economy.
Absolutely. And that goes hand in hand with our next conversational point here, which is democratizing finance, right? So I mentioned the idea of, being able to access your funds whenever you like, but what about those that can't even get started because they're unbanked and they don't qualify to open a bank account, right? So democratizing finance will give us access to peer-to-peer transactions. I mentioned that already, but it'll also give the opportunity to have financial inclusion, right? You can people who aren't able to bank today will be able to bank through the means of different currencies like Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency that their wallet can take, their digital wallet can take. It can protect us from things like inflation, right? Because we've seen how Bitcoin can add additional opportunities to protect your fiat when it comes time to having to deal with inflation. And then censorship, right? A lot of people, because you can't participate in certain financial markets, they also feel like their inability to like communicate or transact value is censored, right? That's similar to the inclusion piece. But lastly, it's the fees, right? For every $100 spent at made by a business, right, $3 goes to credit card fees, and then that is other fees as well. These overhead charges for the money having to jump between Dick, Tom, and Harry middleman, right? It adds up, right? If we can go straight peer to peer, then we can cut up some of that overhead. So, what are your thoughts on democratizing finance?
Democratizing finance is a game changer, Joe. By enabling peer to peer transactions, blockchain opens up financial systems to those who have been excluded, offering a lifeline to the unbanked. Financial inclusion means more people can save securely, invest, and transact without the high fees and barriers imposed by traditional banking. Protection against inflation is another critical benefit, giving people a way to preserve their wealth in times of economic uncertainty. And let's not forget about reducing fees. Cutting out the middleman can significantly lower transaction cost, benefiting both consumers and businesses. This shift can lead to a more equitable financial landscape where access to financial services is a right, not a privilege. This is why advocating for blockchain and decentralized finance is so important in our current discussions.
Yes, absolutely. And uh, we talked about decentralizing finance, we talked about decentralizing personhood, but what about, just they lean in more into the accessibility thing. I think there's even opportunities around decentralizing compute, right? Decentralizing physical infrastructure, right? So today there are projects like StarkNet, right, that has the satellites in on outer space, right? Elon Musk project that allows you to pretty much get internet anywhere that's participating in that, right? But at the same time, that aside, let's also think about the local areas where, you leave your house, you can't get access to internet because you're in a forest or you're just in an underserved area, right? Kids that in that area don't have access to the internet. So there is a way to decentralize compute where bigger players can allow to establish distributed networks, distributed computing, where users can rent or lend their compute power or their wireless resources power or even AI resources to help file storage, even to help others that don't have access to these things, right? So, what are your thoughts on decentralized compute?
Decentralizing compute is a crucial step towards bridging the digital divide. Projects like Starlink are already demonstrating the potential to provide internet access in underserved areas. By decentralizing computing resources, we can further enhance connectivity and access to technology. This approach allows individuals and organizations to contribute their excess computing power, storage, or network resources to a distributed network. This not only helps those in remote or underprivileged areas gain access to essential services, but also creates a more resilient infrastructure. With decentralized compute, we can tap into a global pool of resources, making technology more accessible, affordable, and efficient for everyone. This is an exciting frontier in the push towards a more decentralized internet and society.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a whole, we had the conversation around AI agents, right? And I'm not going to bring that other topic up, but when we think about decentralized agents, I even see that as part of the decentralized compute, right? It's the ability for us to allow for agents on the web, right, which are technically resources at the end of the day. We can create these resources that other people, other businesses can leverage to bring down the cost to run their business, right? So at the end of the day, that gives us the ability to live a better life on the internet.
Absolutely, Joe. Decentralized AI agents can revolutionize how we interact with digital services. By creating a network of autonomous agents that can perform tasks, analyze data, and make decisions, we can offer scalable solutions that are more efficient and cost effective. These agents can be tailored to specific business needs, reducing operational costs and enhancing user experiences. It's about harnessing collective intelligence and resources to create a more dynamic, adaptable, and accessible internet. This ultimately empowers individuals and businesses alike to thrive in a digital economy that is more equitable and innovative. It's an exciting vision for the future of the web.
Yep, yep, and it's no different than having your employees or freelancers contract to different um, businesses, right? They become the assets or the gig workers that can support many different business opportunities. But moving on to decentralizing community, right? So we talked about community. Now let's move into community. So the word DAO, right? Decentralized Autonomous Organization, right, is a concept of communities being able to collectively make decisions in a transparent way without a central authority. So that in itself is already moving away from a central identity. But when you can build a DAO with rules of participation and also make it autonomous in nature where value and decision making is on chain, on it transparent, that takes it to the next level. So what are your thoughts on decentralizing communities via DAOs?
Decentralized communities through DAOs are a revolutionary approach to governance and collaboration. They empower members to have a direct say in decision making, ensuring that the community's interests are front and center. This transparency and democratization can lead to more innovative and responsive communities, where every participant has a stake in the outcome. DAOs also offer flexibility, allowing communities to adapt their rules and structures as they grow and change. This dynamic, community driven approach aligns perfectly with the principles of decentralization we're discussing, promoting fairness, inclusivity, and collective ownership. It's a powerful way to redefine how we organize, collaborate, and create value together.
Yeah, I agree. But you mentioned something which is governance, and that's actually the next topic. So, and I'll just capitalize off of what you said, right? So, decentralizing governance, right, and having these uh, ways to vote, right, or make decisions transparently. This is something that can be done on chain, right? So we have initiatives like Stand with Crypto, right? Tip hats off to them, and we are all pushing for the idea that we can have a more global collaboration, right? And people's uh, credentials, right? Like for example, if you go to standwithcrypto.com, right, .org right now, you can see how each political figure is actually how well they're ranked in terms of their stance on crypto. And that ranking is actually decentralized. People can go and inform Stand with Crypto, like, actually, here's 5 instances where politician A mentioned crypto, and that can improve their score. So it's open source uh, community information that helps inform visitors of the site that, hey, so and so senator, politician A, they stand with crypto, and that has been verified by the evidence that has been out there collected by people in a bipartisan manner, because it's not leaning too left and it's not leaning too right. It's whoever decides that they want to report the information. So, voting on chain, my bad. Voting on chain, transparent governance, global collaboration. You mentioned some stuff about uh, decentralizing governance. Do you have anything else to say about it?
What you've described with Stand with Crypto is a fantastic example of decentralized governance in action. Voting on chain brings a new level of transparency and trust to the process, ensuring that decisions are made based on verified information and community consensus. This approach not only democratizes decision making, but also encourages a more informed and engaged community. Global collaboration becomes seamless when we leverage decentralized platforms, allowing us to build systems that are more resilient, inclusive, and reflective of a diverse range of voices. This is the future of governance: open, transparent, and powered by the people. It's exciting to see these principles being put into practice in initiatives like Stand with Crypto.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we have some more sections, about 2 or 3 more sections, but moving into censorship, another area of government interjection, right? And freedom of speech. So, blockchain, right, will allow us to have immutable conversations, which means once it's on chain, it cannot be removed or altered by central authorities, right? In tandem with that, I can be able to communicate on any network, and you know I can be able to express freely because of anonymity. What are your thoughts on that freedom of speech?
Blockchain's role in protecting freedom of speech is significant. With immutable conversations, it ensures that once information is on the blockchain, it can't be tampered with or erased, providing a permanent, transparent record. This is crucial in environments where censorship is prevalent, as it prevents central authorities from altering or suppressing information. Anonymity further empowers individuals to express themselves freely without fear of retribution. This level of security and freedom is especially vital for journalists, activists, or anyone living under restrictive regimes. By safeguarding free expression, Blockchain technology reinforces the principles of an open, democratic society. It's about ensuring that everyone has a voice and that their voice can be heard.
Yeah, I want to make sure that part is captured, It's not about, oh, the freedom to be a horrible person and say what you want to say. That's not what this is, right? We have people that are afraid of cancel culture, right? Just because they may have a difference of opinion from somebody else or from the central parties, right? Like the whole conversation around vaxxed, unvaxxed, right? And how people opinion on whether or not you should take the vaccine and they got shadow banned because they have an opinion on stuff like that. And the government may feel like their voice is too huge. So as a result, we have to we have to silence them because they're going to inform people to do one thing or the other, and vice versa as well. Those who are telling people that you got to take the vaccine, it's that they may be well in their right to want to tell people that, and they shouldn't be shunned for doing so either. So something conversations as simple as, are you vaccinated or not, right? Uh, do you want how you want your kids to grow up or not, right? These are not complicated conversations. We should be able to have these conversations freely and work through them in society and agree to disagree, right? I'm not even talking about complicated things like hate speech, right? That's not complicated, but what I'm saying is not there's a lot of areas where freedom of speech is not necessarily freedom to say horrible things.
Exactly, Joe. The aim is to protect the fundamental right to express diverse opinions and engage in open dialogue without fear of being unfairly silenced. It's not about condoning harmful speech, but about ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to participate in societal conversations. This is crucial for a healthy, functioning democracy where differing viewpoints can be shared, debated, and respected. Blockchain technology can help safeguard this right by creating platforms where conversations are protected while still allowing for accountability and responsible discourse. It's about striking a balance between free expression and maintaining a respectful, inclusive dialogue.
Yes, and I like what you said about accountability, right? We still understand that there's certain things that are just straight up disrespectful, and that's where we still draw the line, but we should be able to talk to one another, right? We should not feel like we're walking on pins and needles all the time. But moving on, let's talk about asset ownership and how blockchain can decentralize this as well. So if you own stuff like art, right, or land, right, or anything that can be fractionalized, often it's endemned upon what the government or the rules of that asset class say you could do. With NFTs, with blockchain, with crypto, you can tokenize asset, or you can fractionalize pieces of it based upon a series of holders, right? So it gives you that ability to really take ownership of your digital assets or even your physical assets via real RWA projects. Thoughts?
De- yeah, the ability to own, trade, and fractionalize assets through blockchain is transforming how we think about ownership. With NFTs and tokenization, you can own a piece of digital art or a fraction of real estate, breaking down traditional barriers to entry. This democratization of assets allows for more in
Keep going.
making
Yeah.
sure, making it easier for people to invest in assets that were previously out of reach. It also adds liquidity to traditionally illiquid markets, as fractional ownership enables assets to be bought, sold, and traded in smaller units. This can unlock significant value and provide new ways for creators, businesses, and investors to interact with the economy. Blockchain is reshaping asset ownership, making it more transparent, efficient, and accessible to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said something very important about illiquid assets and being able to tap into those markets, right? That's going to add more value to different ecosystems and the businesses that can be sprouted from that, right? So talking about value in businesses, let's talk about e-commerce, right? So having the ability to transact borderlessly, right? We talked about the lower transaction fees, but what about trustless marketplaces, right? So, right now, the escrow, the ability to do escrows online, right? That's possible, but when you can put them on chain, they can become even safer where they're locked up in a smart contract and the money doesn't get released until action A, B, and C are done. And that action A, B, and C can be in the smart contract, right? So it gives an ability for to minimize the overhead of having different insurance partners, fraud protection partners have to come in over these transactions because the smart contracts are going to handle it. And then obviously with the ability to be borderless, it gets you access to new markets. What are your thoughts?
Blockchain is revolutionizing e commerce by creating trustless marketplaces where transactions are secure, transparent, and efficient. The use of smart contracts for escrows ensures that funds are only released when predefined conditions are met, reducing the risk of fraud and eliminating the need for intermediaries. This not only streamlines operations, but also builds trust among users. Plus, the borderless nature of blockchain enables businesses to tap into new markets without the traditional hurdles of cross border transactions. This opens up opportunities for growth, innovation, and inclusivity in the e commerce space, allowing even small businesses to compete on a global scale with greater security.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll say this, right? We have now reached the final section of this report, right? The report that I did a couple weeks before at ABC. Last section that we're going to go right now into is energy. So decentralized energy, right? And we talked about earlier the ability to decentralize compute, right? But think about that in the same manner for energy, right? Be able to give resources to underserved areas, right? So if you can tokenize your energy or be able to peer-to-peer trading of extra energy that you have for the month, right? Then you can be able to make money off of that. But not only that, you can be rewarded for hitting certain renewable energy goals, and that can be tokenized. And then you can have on-chain transparent energy tracking that really informs people, right? At the end of the day, what is the true energy spend? And not to even mention the value of energy with creating digital assets, specifically Bitcoin and any other proof of work currency, right? So I think energy is going to be big. And if we can do things to decentralize, further democratize energy, we might even see more energy produced because everybody can now participate in this uh, value market, but we'll also see opportunities where that energy can produce currency, right? So, what's your thoughts?
Decentralizing energy is an innovative approach to creating a more sustainable and equitable energy market. By enabling peer to peer energy trading, individuals and businesses with surplus energy can sell it, fostering a more efficient distribution and utilization of resources. Tokenizing energy can incentivize the production of renewable energy by rewarding those who meet certain sustainability targets. And with transparent on chain energy tracking, consumers can make more informed choices about their energy consumption. Decentralizing energy production and distribution not only empowers local communities, but could also lead to increased energy production as more players enter the market. Plus, using excess energy for digital asset creation, like Bitcoin mining, adds another layer of value to the energy sector. It's a fascinating convergence of technology, sustainability, and finance that could redefine our relationship with energy.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was just thinking about even the idea, right? Let's tap into more of the nuances that we have, the relationship that we have with energy here in the United States and other countries, right? In the United States, we're pretty privileged, we're pretty spoiled that we can just plug our our plugs in to outlets, right? And it comes on automatically, or we hit a switch and the light comes on. Is because we have an always on grid, right? So this is constantly running. And in other countries, they actually have to turn it on, power it up, and then plug in their devices, right? So the grid is not always on. So that being said, if businesses are able to kind of get access to new markets where they have they have this warehouse, they have this business, they have these uh, actual brick and mortar, right? Commercial buildings that may not be in use X amount of time, and the energy capacity is still there, right? But they may not leverage it all and consistently, and understanding that they're going to get billed anyway, right? Because they're building contracts, not they're not billed on monthly basis like residential, right? Enterprises are build on contract basis, right? So if I determine that I'm already going to be paying for all this energy, and let's talk about how I can trade some of this to other entities, right? And that can be done via tokenization. So this is going to be big, when a business recognizes that I'm already paying for all this energy, how can I monetize this? Oh, really? I can support this area over here where these lights go off, or okay, bet now these kids have lights, right? Or now these kids have compute power, or now I can run a grid, or I can run some mining. I can miners and have additional Bitcoin made on the side. So the ability, like, it's time. It's time to recognize that, especially in this energy space or this additional compute space, there is an opportunity for people to take extended resources that they have and really monetize off of it, or really just turn it back into a hedge for themselves.
Absolutely, Joe. Monetizing excess energy and integrating it into the broader energy market can transform how businesses approach their energy consumption. It creates a new revenue stream and encourages more thoughtful energy management. Businesses can not only contribute to energy stability in underserved areas, but also explore opportunities in crypto mining and other energy intensive blockchain applications. This can turn what was once an overhead cost into a profitable asset. Moreover, by participating in decentralized energy trading, they contribute to a more resilient and democratized energy grid, benefiting society at large. It's a win win situation that highlights the untapped potential in the intersection of energy and blockchain technology.
Yep, absolutely. So on that note, episode 3 is in the books. Episode 3 of the Flying Lap is done, right? This conversation that we had around decentralization is very important. Again, I'll reiterate that as we go into this next election. For many of you that watch this episode, you will have already voted, but the work does not stop there, right? We must continue to recognize that it is our opportunity for us to learn more and more about this space. So please continue to tap in. Please subscribe to my channel and continue to check out the episodes of the Flying Lap. If you're in the Atlanta area, please come on out to the Atlanta Blockchain Center on Tuesdays and Thursdays for our regular programming, right? We do sessions on hands-on on Tuesday. We do sessions, community conversations on Thursdays, right? So please come on out, learn more about this space because it's going to change and it's going to come regardless. It's here for you to take opportunity now. That being said, right? Again, we stand with crypto, and this is episode 3 of the Flying Lap. Your boy, Joe Lewis, signing out. What about you?
It was a pleasure being part of this insightful conversation, Joe. Decentralization is indeed the future, and it's exciting to see how it will shape our world. I'm Luna, signing off. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring the possibilities of blockchain.
Oh, I like that. Peace.
Glad you liked it. Looking forward to our next episode of The Flying Lap. Take care, Joe.
Peace.